So, former Ravens defensive coordinator Don Wink Martindale recently called bullshit, literally, that's a direct quote, on the label or narrative that's often attached to Lamar Jackson around some NFL circles that he can't consistently beat you from the pocket. Now, we know that's not true, but Wink had a whole lot to say in an exclusive conversation with us on the Vault earlier this week, and we're going to get into that and more coming up in this episode, which is presented to you by Primary Residential Mortgage. And with that, welcome inside the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset, and as always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. I'm glad you're here. A quick note here from PRMI, and they want to know, are you looking to buy a home this summer? Perhaps you're ready to get pre-approved. You don't know how much to afford. The mortgage professionals at Primary Residential Mortgage understand that navigating the home buying process can be overwhelming, and that's why they're here to help every step of the way. With a quick and easy pre-approval process and tailored guidance, you can discover your buying power and shop with confidence. You can take the first step towards your dream home today by contacting PRMI. Just visit their website to learn more in the show notes below and get started today. PRMI is an equal housing lender, NMLS 3094. Before we get to part of the Wink conversation, this came out earlier today, taping this just before 5 o'clock on Thursday, July 11th. Rookies report to training camp in Baltimore on Saturday the 13th. Veterans a week later on the 20th. We know the Ravens are in the market. At least there are reports out there and certainly a belief that they are in the market between now and the start of the season for a veteran free agent safety that could help bolster their room. We know that Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams headline that group, deservingly so. But due to some uncertainty with what they have in there, some uncertainty both with injury history and just the uncertainty that comes with any undrafted rookie, there are some question marks in that room. And should Marcus Williams not be able to stay healthy, which he's struggled to do in recent years, it looks a whole lot different than it does right now. One of the names that they've, one, reportedly had in the building back in May, and two, was one of the big names that was still out there as of earlier today, is no longer, and that is Jamal Adams. He's agreed to terms with the Tennessee Titans, according to Teron Davenport here on social. He's going to be reunited with Denard Wilson. He was his defensive backs coach during the Pro Bowl in 2018 and 2019. But again, Adams was reportedly in town and visited with the Ravens back in May. What didn't they like about him? We don't know that right now. Was it the medical? Was it the fit? What was it? Not sure, but he's not going to be a Baltimore Raven. He's heading to the Tennessee Titans. Here are some of the other names on this list, by the way. And we'll get to that in actually just a second. I wanted to bring up a different slide. Of course, I don't have it in front of me right now, but it was a couple. I'll just read them. It's no problem at all, and you can take a look at some of the names on the screen that are still available, and a free agent on the open market right now. And I wanted to read a couple tweets from Jeff Zrebiec of The Athletic. Ethan on Twitter asks him if this means that Justin Simmons is going to be a Raven. And Jeff says, depends if his price comes down low enough and he'd be comfortable with the role. We've seen this movie before. Then Mark, also from Ravens Twitter. Have the Ravens shown any interest in Justin Simmons? Seems like an ideal Geno Stone replacement, assuming that the money is right. Jeff wrote back, they've been in touch at different points with all of the available safeties. So, if that's the case, and we know Jeff is as plugged in as anyone is, perhaps some of the names on this list have been in touch with Eric DaCosta and Baltimore's front office in recent times. We know that probably, given the money situation, the Ravens are going to have to dictate this. It's going to be dictated on their terms. It's going to come at their own terms. They're not about to spend big money on a safety, given the cap, given the current cap reality, and also given the money that they have allotted for that position right now. Marcus Williams' cap hit is through the roof in terms of safety standards for this upcoming season. We know that Kyle Hamilton, you'd have to think that Eric DeCosta will try and get out in front once his, he's not even eligible to be. Actually, is he eligible to be signed yet? I don't think he is quite yet. But whenever he becomes eligible on that rookie deal, you'd have to think that a lucrative market resetting contract extension is coming. So you have to budget for that. But by Jeff noting that they've done their homework, to me, it feels like when, not if, they'll be making a move here. And look, that's no disrespect to our Darius Washington. That's no disrespect to some of the undrafted rookies out there. Not at all. Bo Braid, Jordan Tolles. My hope is that they show up and show out throughout training camp and they find a way onto the roster or they find a way to be an added value in the depth department. But I don't think the Ravens are in win now mode, and they need to make sure that every single aspect of this roster is addressed and taken care of, even in emergency purposes. And like I said, if Marcus were to go down, the entire safety outlook looks very, very, very different. So Jamal Adams is off this list in terms of this group that we're looking at right now. He was the highest average annual value, monetarily speaking, last year in Seattle. Justin Simmons was just below him, which leads you to believe that his asking price is pretty steep. Eddie Jackson, just south of him at $14.6 million last year. And you've got some other names on there as well. Let me know in the comment section, what's the best fit? I know your favorite and what would be, the home run is Justin Simmons. But what's the best fit in Baltimore? What's the best fit on this list? I'm going to go with Quandre Diggs. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Okay. So, former Ravens defensive coordinator Don Wink Martindale was kind enough to join us for an exclusive conversation literally mid-golf round earlier this week. He is the incoming DC at the Michigan Wolverines. He spent the last couple of years with the New York Giants, and of course, he was a long-time assistant under John Harbaugh. It was linebackers. It was defensive coordinator, of course, and he was very, very entertaining, as he was throughout our 40-plus minute conversation that I would urge you to go check out if you haven't already done so. Of course, we got his perspective on somebody who he went up against often throughout practice, and that is Lamar Jackson. And I thought Wink gave a lot of great insight into the strategizing, into some of the narratives that are around Lamar as you look around the league, and a number of other things, including some pride that he takes in actually beating him head-to-head with the Giants, which, as you'll learn right off the top of this clip, is something that no other NFC team has done since Lamar's been in the league for the last 6 years. Here's Wink.
No, and take pride in the fact that Lamar Jackson is 20-1 as a starter against NFC teams.
Oh, really? Okay. Who's that NFC team that beat him?
Oh, that's I couldn't even. Could it be Wink Martindale's Giants? I mean, could it be?
I didn't even know that was a fact.
So now that you're in college, maybe this is a safe question, okay?
Okay.
Because in Baltimore, people get super angry when we talk about the key to beating Lamar Jackson. Okay, what the keys are. Are you willing to divulge a little bit on those keys since you're in college now and how you did it? Because you know him just about as well as anybody going up against him in practice.
Yeah, I think, first of all, Lamar is my favorite. Do I give him this putt? There's luck involved in it, which I've always said I'd rather be lucky than good.
Okay.
But I think any time as a coordinator, this isn't just against Lamar, though. As a coordinator, you have to save something for the second half. Something you haven't showed them in the first half of your game plan. And we were fortunate enough to really not have to bust it out until the fourth quarter. And that gave him a completely different look, a look we haven't shown, look I haven't shown him going against him when we were there. You got to have luck. You got to be able to change. You got to save something for the second half as a coordinator, and that's against any quarterback. You know what I mean? But, we were fortunate enough to hold it till the fourth quarter and gave some different looks, covering Andrews and, you know, and, which slowed up Lamar a little bit. We were fortunate enough, when I say the Lux, they had the rookie center bad snap in that quarter, if I remember right. We were stemming, which we knew that gave that particular offensive line stemming, moving before the snap. You know what I'm saying, Sarah?
Yeah.
Which we knew gave that offense problems because, at that time, because of, the play calling and how they were always changing things at the line. So they would jump, just little things like that. But, bottom line was, okay, I hit one straight into the sand trap.
What do you think of it when people say, like, there have been plenty of people in the media that will say, okay, to stop Lamar, you gotta keep him in, make sure he stays in the pocket, make him throw, don't let him run. You think there's truth to that?
Nope. I think he's gotten so much better at that, especially last year. I think that he's improved, every year, but I think he's, especially with, staying in the pocket and making the throws. Well, I don't think anybody wants to give somebody else credit, until they win Super Bowls. But, go ahead, Mark. I'm going to finish up his question. I think it's unfair, some of the things that are said. I think it's bullshit that just keep him in the pocket. You know how hard it is to keep him in the pocket? You could say that. Yeah, we're just going to keep him in the pocket. And all he needs is 6 inches and he slides through it. So I just don't agree with that analogy. I think you just got to keep, like any quarterback, you got to keep changing things up. And, I know everybody talks about good par. Everybody talks about, how much we pressure and everything else. You got to mix in some pressures. You hold this for me. You got to mix it. You can't be afraid to pressure him or any quarterback, So
What did you tell your Giants defenders going in?
Good luck.
Yeah.
He did not make that putt. And then he gave himself like a 3 or 4 footer. And I kind of gave him some shit about it, which made for some good theater. So can't encourage you enough to go check out that full conversation, which can be found across all of our Vault platforms, whether it be here on YouTube or in the audio only space as well. But some good stuff there. I know it was a 4-minute clip, so thanks for bearing with me in terms of the length of that. But look, Wink knows Lamar as good, if not better than anybody when it comes to going up against him as an opposing defensive coordinator. I mean, this is somebody who, again, has handed Lamar the only loss, regular season wise, that he's ever had against an NFC team. It's been utter domination. 20-1 to be clear and specific. That is ridiculous domination. And I think Wink makes a good point. How do you beat Lamar? Well, there is no specific way in terms of taking away parts of his game. That's how much he's evolved. But what you can do is confuse him. What you can do is go deep into your bag, showing him all kinds of different looks. And now there were turnovers, don't get me wrong. There were turnovers in that game, self-inflicted wounds from the Ravens that gave the Giants life in that game. So if you play a clean game, I think the Ravens find a way to win that game. So sometimes it is luck. Sometimes it is fortune. But I really appreciated his perspective, and obviously calling what we all know, calling it spade a spade, right? Look, opposing defensive coordinators in meeting rooms apparently tell Mark Schlereth still that that's their game plan going in, contain him and keep him in the pocket. All right, guys. I don't know how much longer it's going to take. And I'm not saying, for you guys to realize that that's not going to do it consistently. And I'm not saying there isn't room for improvement. There certainly is when it comes to deep ball accuracy for Lamar Jackson. I think that's absolutely an area for improvement as he enters year 7. But to say blanket statements like, "Oh yeah, that's the be all end all. That's our formula." All right, good luck. Good luck, because we've watched him prove otherwise. It's been fun to watch the evolution. Appreciate you guys for dropping by the channel as always. I wanted to say thank you to Richard and Jeff for sponsoring the channel. No, excuse me, supporting the channel. If you guys want to sponsor the channel, you can hit me up as well. But for supporting me through Patreon and believing in what I'm building. So thank you both for believing that. Thank you both for the support. And if you guys are interested in doing the same, visit patreon.com/Bobby Trosset. All that information can be found in the show notes below. If you're interested in getting your home buying process journey started, you want to buy a home, you're ready for that next step in your life, I would urge you to go check out Primary Residential Mortgage, and you can do so by getting started in the show notes below. So thanks, guys. Like the video if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the channel for daily Ravens content, and go check out that full Wink conversation on the vault while you're at it.